Magic.
Magic has happened and we are online.
Yeah.
Woo! And we already have our first guest
Yeah.
joining. A few people will come over time, I think. We'll give them a minute or two to trickle in, and then we will start. As we always are a little pressed for time in the end, as we know.
Oh, das kann ja nicht sein. So far, we can welcome everyone personally, I can see.
Yes.
Almost. So, hello, Andreas. Hello, Christian. Sepp, hi. Thomas, hello, welcome.
Indeed.
We are very happy that you're joining us today and not standing outside in the rain, or maybe it's not raining, enjoying Glühwein at some random Christmas market, but prefer listening to the insights that we are going to share with you about the magic work of RANDWERK.
Exactly. I will start with the introduction and then yes, we will move along. So, hello and welcome to a familiar format in a new project and under a new name. Medianet Games International is here to shine a digital spotlight on interesting games companies from Berlin. Today, we have the team, or rather Johannes from RANDWERK with us. Together, they form a three-person cooperative indie game studio, and Johannes will surely tell us more about what this exactly means.
Yes, that's why I'm here.
Exactly. Their first commercial game, ABRISS, Built to Destroy, is what I would call a smash hit and was released on Steam in September. Our moderator, André Wrecking Ball Bernhardt, will tear through this next hour of formidable online entertainment with Johannes from the team and get concrete about the studio's foundationing, their views on the industry and their plans for the future. Before I will stop my horrible puns and before finally handing the proverbial mic over to André, I have to thank and want to introduce our funding and partners. Medianet Games International Transatlantic is a program of Medianet Berlin-Brandenburg, whose network reaches beyond the games industry, connecting Berlin's and Brandenburg's media, creative, and digital industries to create meaningful connections and facilitate interdisciplinary synergies. The project is financed by the European Union through its European Regional Development Fund and the State of Berlin, namely the Senate Department for Economic Affairs, Energy, and Public Enterprises through its program for internationalization. This will be our final event of 2023, but keep your eyes and ears open for our upcoming international delegation trips. And in the meantime, check out our website at medianet-games.international to find all news, our newsletter, and of course, our podcast. We wish you all a happy holiday season and a good start to 2024. And now I will shut up and give over to André.
Florian, thanks a lot for these kind words and this nice introduction here to somehow maybe the final event for all of us this year. I don't know how many Christmas parties are there still coming to you and offices to you nearby. But anyway, I'm super happy to be here and to be the host again. My name is the one and only IndieAdvisor André Bernhardt, but I'm not here alone. With me is also the fantastic Johannes Knop from RANDWERK. Yeah, I don't know. How do you pronounce it in English? RANDWERK or like?
Yeah, RANDWERK. We're doing a lot of like, yeah, jokes where we make some other German sounding word up. That's not RANDWERK or like Lastkraft, Macht.
Machtspiel, Werk,
Yeah.
Stein.
Werk,
Yeah,
Werkkraft.
I'm super happy to be here, to have you here, and to spend the next hour with you discussing about where does RANDWERK come from, where are you going, and what are you doing actually. So far, I see that Andreas is already raising his hands. I mean, Florian didn't mention, but there is this kind of question and answer tool within Zoom. So in the end, we have some time for questions. Meanwhile, you should be able to use the F&A or Q&A tool to nail down your questions that I'm not going to cover maybe in the end. And I will make sure that before we come to an end, I will take a look and make sure that we come back to your questions. Anyway, I'm super happy that you're all here joining us for this, as I said, little 1 hour with RANDWERK. But for those who are not I have to stop it now with the rolling R, with RANDWERK. But for everyone who is not familiar with the oeuvre of RANDWERK so far and doesn't know ABRISS, Florian, would you be so kind and hit this magic trailer button so we can take a look at the amazing graphics that ABRISS has to offer? This is Tech Tuesday. Which might be the wrong thing you're showing right now, Florian. I'm pretty sure it's the wrong thing, but do some other magic, the dark magic. Maybe I was too early with handing over to the trailer.
I mean, it's oh, there we go.
There we go. I guess you. Yeah, now it's not time for wish listing anymore. Now you can head over to Steam and also buy it immediately. But also make sure to look up the trailer by yourself, so you can see we don't have to rely on the beauty that Zoom somehow tries to take over or to bring us over, but get the real experience in, I don't know, at least full HD. Do you also have a 4K trailer out there? Johannes?
Maybe Astragon made a big 4K one.
Look for the highest resolution because the game really looks awesome. But if you had, I guess you have seen the trailer before, Johannes, but if you had to explain in your own words, like the elevator pitch, what the game would be about, what is the sentence that you're usually bringing to people to explain ABRISS in a nutshell?
Oh, yeah, I didn't have to in a while, so let me. It's a physics destruction puzzle game, and you have to combine parts that each have one function, and you have to combine them to some kind of construction, some kind of machine that destroys everything in the level, and then you kind of have to find a way to use the limited parts that you have in a way that destroys as much as possible.
Okay, that's more than that, and more than one sentence, but it sums it up pretty well. I had the pleasure of playing the game already, so I can actually or totally agree on that. We've seen it in the trailer. You were, or are you still studying at DHive or HTW? I mean, you're Bern, and the company was founded in Berlin. The founders, the three of you, which we're coming to later on, are all studying at HTW or did so.
Yeah, the other two are still, and I have finished my master's degree, but we are all still in the rooms there, and that's where we have our little office. And I just was there yesterday, so we just go there to work most days if we're not doing home office.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I teach some like some small courses or do some workshops, but yeah, but I'm not studying anymore.
Okay, you are done, but
I'm
with
done.
the with the rooms, you mean the beehive then in the end?
Yes, the Beehive Institute's rooms where also all the students are sitting. So I'm still in that space, in that community, let's say.
Maybe for those people who are not that familiar with the beehive, could you tell a few words about what the beehive is and how you ended up there, and what is the plan of the beehive and your mission over there?
So the Beehive is the Games Institute of the HTW Berlin, which is the Berlin University of Applied Sciences. It is in Schöneweide, so it's a little bit farther from the center of Berlin. And yes, so that's a very good place to study making games, and you can study game design. You can study bachelor's and master's degree there. And I did that. So yes, I knew that I wanted to make games. And that's why I applied there. And I think the first time they didn't take me, and then the second time, no, the first time I didn't really apply. I prepared an application, but I didn't send it. Yeah.
Okay, you didn't take the train from platform 13 and a half to get there, and that's why
No.
it didn't work out. Oh,
Yeah.
but the beehive then also means like there's office space, so newfound teams at the institute can sit there and start their business, or how does it work
Yes.
out? Okay.
So the master's degree also has like one of the things you can do at the master's degree is have like an entrepreneurship uh, um, um, focus,
Yeah.
and there's like an experimental incubation program, which I think is in like one big European funded research program about like testing different ways of how to do incubation.
Yeah.
And the concept of the beehive is to have the founding companies inside the same office space as the still studying people. So it's like really embedded into the with the students. And so we have like a little office, but it's like a glass just like an area a little off to the side of like the usual like an open floor plan office, and we have like a little
Okay.
closed glass thing there.
Sounds interesting, but I don't want to go too much into details and bore people only about the beehive and what's happening over there. Let's come back to the game ABRISS itself. So you mentioned that you came up with the idea with your colleagues. By the way, who are your colleagues first, who can't be with us today?
No, they we are working really hard on a prototype, so we can't be all here. My colleagues are Friedrich Bayer and Till Freitag, who are both incredibly talented artists and concept artists too, but and tech artists. So all of us, we do really, really quite a lot of things. I have studied with them for many years, so we know each other really well. If you want to, you can look them up on ArtStation or similar to see what else they are doing. But yes, that's one of the reasons why ABRISS looks as great as it does.
What was okay? Yeah, shout out on this at this place to Friedrich Bayer then and Till Freitag, and make sure to check out their artwork as well. Read them afterwards. We miss them, but it's okay. I'm also happy that you are here, Johannes. What was your role within ABRISS then? If there are two incredible artists, you are the incredible.
Yeah, I've also done some visual stuff, but mostly like with fonts and UI, and just, we've been talking about how does this look, and
Yeah.
some post-processing stuff and effects, whatever. Yeah, I've done the talking to interview people most of the time. I've done writing emails. I am technically the businessman person. I have to do the numbers. I have to write applications to things, and I did a lot
Which you
of the
did
coding.
successfully, where we are also coming back to later on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so like, a lot of things. I made the music, the sound. We are three people. We
yeah,
have to each do many things.
and that meant is you did everything on your own. I mean, not even outsourcing the sound or something, or did
No,
you
not
hire?
really. We bought packs, and then we used pre-made things, but uh we had the most outsourcing we did was for marketing, which we also did in-house, but yes, but that's really hard. So no production was outsourced, I guess.
Yeah, okay. And who, when did you come up with the idea? Was it one of the study thesis or the works that you had done within your studies already, that you came up with the idea of have this physics-based puzzle game featuring destruction?
So Friedrich and Till, a couple semesters earlier, had made a game that was called Antitect, which had like a similar concept of the main mechanic was basically gaining resources by destroying things, and then from these resources you build stuff. And when we were in the lockdowns of the summer of 2020, Till and Friedrich approached me because the other third member that was working on that project didn't have any time and so on, and they were like, "Oh, now we have infinite amounts of time in the lockdown," and they were like, "Hey," they approached me, "Hey, do you want to try to make this a commercial game, something like this?" And then we had couple months later, we had like the prototype, and we wanted to apply for Medium Board funding, and that's why we needed some kind of legal entity, and I was reading a lot about cooperatives and stuff at the time, so that's what I proposed, and everyone really liked the idea. Yeah, but I think originally we wanted to like release ABRISS in like autumn of 2020.
Didn't work out as planned.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not the first time that I heard that the studio is not delivering on time on their own plans, the plan that they had and executed perfectly. So no worries about that. You mentioned the EG, the cooperative, and that's a really interesting thing, because from personally, and I'm not sure how many people did so at Medium Board. I don't know any team besides of Motion Twin in France. Let's say any team in Germany which is a EG, because your corporation runs as RANDWERK Games EG, eingetragene Genossenschaft or cooperative. Was that challenging, like when you applied for Medium Board, that to do it on this base?
Sometimes people wouldn't know what that means.
Yeah.
But so there was like a drop down, select what kind of entity you are, and you select other. But most of the time it wasn't really that hard, because for outside business, it might as well be GmbH or UG. So it's like different how it works on the inside, and why it has a limited liability is a different reason. But to everyone on the outside, it's just another company. So most people didn't really care that much. And if you're dealing with international stuff, most German forms of company are weird anyway, so they're not like the GmbH is something weird for Steam too, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't really have any downsides. I think there's like 4 now.
Yeah. You started a movement already, or?
Yeah, accidentally.
Yeah.
Yeah, just last Amaze Festival, I asked Thorsten S. Wiedemann if we could have like a small thing. Actually, I think it was based on, there was some article. I don't know anymore. I think it was from Dom Schott or Daniel Stiegner or Rainer Siegel, one of them, which are all games journalists I really respect in the German space. And it turned out there was another one, Purple Sloth.
Yeah.
Which we hadn't heard of before. So there was like an article, here are games cooperatives, and these 2 games cooperatives exist. And I was like, oh. And first we thought they might have been the first ones, but they weren't. We are the first. We are still the first ones. They had existed, but not as a cooperative. They were just a loose collective.
Okay, not a legal entity at this time. Yeah, definitely. Yes. Kudos and congratulations to this achievement. To sum it up for the people listening, what are some of the advantages and disadvantages? Let's say from my point of view, I would say like cooperative. This means everyone is getting the same salary, and you're splitting all the revenue between all the people that are part of the cooperative.
I mean, that's not necessarily how it is. Does have to be. That's how it works with us, because we're just 3 people, but you can just, the most important thing is that everyone working there is basically a member, and the chairman, so what in other entities is the CEO, is elected regularly by all members. And that's by headcount and not by money paid into it. So the difference there is to a normal company. If you have shares in a company, usually if I have 1 share and you have 2, you vote more. Your vote counts more than mine. And in a cooperative, no matter how much money we put in, it counts the same. But if there would be some, let's say, I mean, you can, in the bylaws, you can do whatever you want, but let's say we have some kind of dividend, we could still do it like, okay, you have 2 shares, you get twice as much dividend as me, but we are still voting by head count.
Okay.
That's the only thing you legally cannot change, that voting always happens by head count in an EG. One of the drawbacks of this is that if someone is to be let go, so if you want to expel someone from the cooperative, you basically need to vote them out while they're there. So that's quite a difficult thing to do, I guess. But and you really have to think about who you're working with, right? So you can't just it's really a permanent thing. if someone joins. So it's like a little bit like you be careful about who joins and who doesn't. So
I can imagine that it's challenging regarding growth when you think about adding new members to the team. Like as you mentioned, it's a permanent decision then, so people will stay and they will also have a vote. Practically, how does this look like then, that you say, like, as long as one person doesn't vouch for the person that is going to join, that you're not going to invite another person to the team, or like a veto right?
We haven't really talked about this so far because we never had enough money to get another person involved. We don't know how like our future projects will be from like how we will fund them. It might be that we like have to think about it, but yes, so that's you have to find some kind of method to it, right?
Yeah.
To say, or like have some kind of I mean, you can still have like freelancers and like just a normal work contract without the person being a member. So you could technically do something like, okay, you work here for 6 months, and in the contract it says after 6 months we have to decide whether you will be a member or not.
Yeah.
And if you're not a member, we will the work contract ends or something like that. Yeah. So that's up to us, I guess.
Yeah, but, I could also spend more time on this because I found it super interesting, and also like why are you the first and why didn't this happen before more often? That there are other cooperatives found, but I would love to come back to the start of making the company or also making the game. So you mentioned, okay, the three of you met together at the university, you came up with the idea, then you had this thing of, okay, we need to submit, we need to propose to the funding, so we get the money to get this game done. And then you said like, okay, we apply for Medium Board and it will take us 1 year, and then it all worked out, like you got the money from the Medium Board you were asking for?
I think at first we asked for too much, and we had to ask again. But it all worked out quite well. We are having 2 more projects now that are prototypes that are funded by Medium Board, and we are very thankful to have such a good relationship there. They really believe in our projects and our weird little cooperative.
How much? But let's talk numbers. How much money did you ask for, or how much money did you get in the end for the project from the Medium Board?
So ABRISS was made on a budget of 90K.
Yeah.
And yes, and we've pretty much paid it back, or no, we like the rest is to be due like when the next year starts, but we already know we have to.
Yeah.
So we're paying it all back. And 50K for the project now that we are finishing up now, like a prototype that is called Bergfried, and then recently, so last week or so, another prototype that is called RANDWERK, which will be done around next May. Yes.
You have a thing for building games or something, at least it sounds like, German titles or German names for games where you build something. Okay, but thanks a lot for sharing. So you said like, okay, the budget was 90K, and you planned for which development time? It was in the beginning?
A year.
A year.
And that was, sorry.
Yeah, 1 year. And how long did it take you in the end?
So
until
it
version
was
1.0, like not the early access, but the final release then.
Yeah, I mean, it was 1 year until early access, and then we had kind of another year for the full release version.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like 1 year for the early access, and then 1 year inside of early access, in which we also had to do quite a lot of other different things. So we didn't work as much on the project as during before the early access, because we had to do some university things and finish up my master's degree and so on. But yeah, it was like 2 years in the end, not counting the original university project and the time we prepared the prototype to apply for funding.
When I prepared for this interview, I checked it out and I thought, like, yes, you have been part of the check is back ceremony of the medium board. So you paid, or as you said, at least, or you paid some parts of the money back already, which like is good. So you get the leeway to work on the next project. But that wasn't the only success story while developing the game. I mean, you also received the DCP award for best graphics. If I see this, if I took it down correctly.
Yeah, we won the German Computer Game Awards award for best graphics design.
In which year? This year, actually.
This year, yes.
Yeah.
I think we had applied for the year before for the Nachwuchspreis.
Yeah, okay.
For the upcoming prize. We didn't even get nominated then, which is very funny.
Okay.
And we were nominated for best graphics this year, and also for, I think, best expert game.
Yeah.
And we won best graphics. Yes.
Congratulations.
We just went there to have fun. Basically, we really didn't. We were not very surprised, but we were also not expecting to win.
Do you still remember the other nominees?
Yes, it was. I think it was Finding Hannah and Signalis.
Yeah, okay. And congratulations. Therefore, once more, I think to come back then with this nice award, which is also not like the fame, but also the money that comes attached to it. How much is it with graphics? Also 50K or
40, I think.
40, okay. But that you couldn't use to improve ABRISS anymore, but that needs to go into the next project.
Yes, it has to be inside some game project, but it is of course very important for the Eigenanteil. So if some funding is to be done, for example, by Median Board, there's always the problem that you have to bring already some of your own money. Like half of the money has to be your own, and this of course is really helpful, and it's also just a lot of money.
I guess everyone in our audience is more or less familiar with the Eigenanteil. I don't know how the English expression sounds like, but the money that you need to bring with you to receive additional money from the state. This is the famous German Eigenanteil, which is usually super interesting for the Bundesförderung, the public funding by the state of Germany, or also with the Median Board as well. Everywhere, it doesn't matter which part of Germany you apply for, there is some sort of money you need to bring with you. Yeah, I'm happy that this worked out. And this in the end then led to Astragon discovering you, or were you in talks with publishers before? And was that also the plan, like to leverage on marketing and guarantees by talking to publishers, or?
We had been talking to Astragon for a while at that point.
Yeah.
So I think we actually, like, the DCP the award ceremony was like 2 weeks after we signed actually.
Okay.
But there's still the money goes to us because we were not signed by Astragon in the moment where we applied, which is apparently how it's done. So if we would have applied for DCP after we had signed Astragon would have gotten some of the prize money.
Yeah. Okay, right.
But that's not was the case.
Lucky for you, for you then. I don't know how the split is, but the prize money usually gets to be split up from the DCP with the publisher as well as the developer on the project, as long
Yes.
as it's signed. But was Astragon already bought by Team 17 at this time? I mean, do you know whether Team 17 did discover you then somehow, or was it the Astragon people? I mean, because if you compare it, I mean, ABRISS is not the usual. Okay, we could argue about this, whether it fits into the simulator business that they are usually doing. Somehow you can also coin it as a sci-fi ABRISS simulator then, or destruction simulator. But yeah, what would you say about that?
I think it was shortly after the Team 17 takeover, which is probably one of the reasons why they have tried to expand into different genres, because there was a lot of capital there, and they wanted to try some new things. But we were not approached by Team 17 themselves, but by some Astragon people, and they had written some emails to us, and then we met up at Gamescom and so on, and the talks went for quite a while, as it sometimes is. Yes.
When coming up with the idea, or with the beginning of building the title, do you have the feeling of like, or what is the, let's rephrase it, how is the approach at the HTW or at the D-Hive? That is like, do we have to imagine that all of the three of you sat down and did some clever market analysis and checked out that this is an underserved genre that we need to enter because there's nothing else? Or was it just this eureka moment where you sat when you were showering and then had this great idea of, we need to build a game that is a physics-based destruction puzzler?
I think we just made it because we wanted to, and because we thought the concept was a good idea. But of course we kept our eyes open and okay, how can we sell this? Is this a thing people want? Is this something we're gonna spend a lot of time with and try to sell a lot of, or that we will spend a little time with and just see what happens? And we were seeing that, for example, Teardown was a really, really good big hit, and there was some really, yes, at the time there were a lot of like destruction games coming out, and people were buying them like crazy, and so we thought, okay, this is a thing that we can sell, and we saw some reactions on, like, when posting on social media, right, and showing it to people and letting them play it, you get some kind of reaction, and people were really liking the visuals of it and so on. So we knew, okay, there's interest here, we can sell this. And then we just had to find out, like, what kind of corner of Steam do we want to be, and what other games do the people who would like this game, what do they play, where do we want to be recommended under which games, and so on. But which is not quite as easy if it's not a classical genre piece, right? So if you have a shooter, you know that other people play shooters, they will want it, but it was kind of something in between bubbles of players, I guess. So
I mean, the good thing is, and that is why I recommended people to check out some more trailer or some more visuals, or just buy the game in the end, is like you see it the first time and it immediately looks amazing. It has this kind of special look where you just keep on looking because you want to see how whatever object is hitting the wall now, how it's totally hammering the stuff and destroying it. It keeps you into it. I mean, I'm not a tech person, and for me, it's difficult then to ask the right questions, to understand what's going on in the background to make the visuals look so great. But as I said, there was the validation already by winning the DCP at this time with the graphics. I mean, what tech stack did you use in the end to make this possible? Is it just regular Unity off the shelf, or what kind of magic works behind the background?
So it's an older version of Unity. So this is Unity 2020.3 with HDRP rendering stack. So the fancier, more realistic render pipeline of Unity. But all the physics stuff is basically very highly optimized normal Unity physics. There's no voxels, no havoc, no what's the new thing called? The data-oriented dots.
Okay, I have no clue. But...
just Unity physics. Just Unity physics, and we there's a lot of tricks going on from us. So sometimes the performance is just bad, and you don't notice because we hide it with some clever slow-mo and stuff. So yeah, sometimes the answer of how is the performance this good is it just isn't, and you didn't notice because that's why would you care if you don't notice?
Yeah, you're totally right. Does it stop you, the tech that you're choosing to go to other platforms, or are there plans for going on other platforms with the title that I haven't seen yet?
That's Astragon's decision at this point. But Unity is the good thing about Unity is that Unity is very, very good at being built for all kinds of platforms. So that's one thing that Unity is I think really good at, is the compatibility with all kinds of platforms. I think mobile is pretty much impossible at this point. And I think a Switch would also just randomly explode.
Or you would add so much slow-mo that no one would recognize in the end then.
Slideshow.
Whether did you discover some real challenging tech points then in the development process where you thought like, damn, no, this is never going to work. Actually, we are on the wrong track here somehow.
There were points where we had like suddenly we suddenly had half of the FPS we have had earlier, and we were really worried because we were like, okay, we cannot ship this with 28 FPS.
Yeah.
And then we've been searching forever, and there was just like this one of the Unity things where you can tick like little boxes, and I accidentally hit the use ray tracing button.
Yeah.
But we didn't use the ray tracing pipeline, so there was no ray tracing, and the game suddenly was trying to ray trace, but it couldn't ray trace, so it was throwing itself errors, and the errors were slowing it all down to half of it. And so on. So there were moments like these. We also had like just we pushed it to how many blocks can we have at once in the on screen and stuff, and then we had to like hollow out some buildings and simplify some geometry and subdivide some things or merge other things together. But we there was also like just sound stuff that was like the wrong compression algorithm for short sounds that suddenly made a lot of difference in the FPS. So it's always something different than you believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you overcome all challenges and then made it into early access. Early access was plan of the development process from the beginning, right?
Yeah. So we were, yes, we I think at the start we maybe thought, okay, let's see, maybe we can finish it up completely, but we never had made we knew very well that we had never made a commercial game to 1.0 before, so that we probably don't know what we have to do. So yeah, so we knew pretty fast that we should do an early access at this point. And yeah, so we did. And the 1.0 was a lot more like professional in the end. It is like there's a lot less bugginess overall going on, and we had some really good QA from Astragon. And I think I also now kind of have a feeling for what how much longer a 1.0 takes to do with all the quality assurance that has to go into a full version.
I mean, everyone is, I think, or most of the people are familiar with the Pareto principle, which says like you need 80%, 20% for the first 80, and then an additional 80% for the last 20. And for those who played the game, how I mean the controls are challenging. Yeah, you have to move objects in 3D and also shift around you do the camera work and everything. How long did it take you to figure out or were the controls like this from the beginning, or was it a long process to optimize it with the feedback that was coming in?
We were changing, of course, we were changing more at the start than later. I think we never quite liked it. I think we were never really we were really, so there was always like some comments of saying, hey, the camera, I want to tilt the camera. And we had tried to do this and it doesn't work, but we couldn't explain to people why this is not a thing that can just happen, right? We put in some alternative controls like the free flying cam, and tried quite a lot of things to get it all to work. I think it's in the end it works fine, but we never really thought, oh, this is great. We were always like, yeah, we can't change it anymore.
I'm happy that you are saying that, because I would refer to it is challenging, and maybe it also leads to the nomination then of being the expert game, because it is, I mean, for I wouldn't say it's that it's as accessible for a casual audience, not as it could be. Maybe it's the basic challenges that are in there. But yeah, it definitely is, and leads to a special audience then in the end. But you released it and people liked it so far on Steam, or took it a long time until you got it? How was the positive negative ratio in the beginning, or how did this change over the time of the early access period?
So I think it was at the on release, it was really good. It was a bit better than now. It's still very good. I think we're like somewhere above like 68% or 78%, which is just something that other people have also told us, that there's a lot of, when you do a sale on Steam, there's a lot of negative comments coming in for some reason. That's on nobody knows really why. There's a lot of explanations, but negative reviews come in on sales a lot. And yeah, people really liked helping us during early access. So we have a Discord server, and there were always there were some people who really were like hunting for bugs, and would have a lot of fun just finding breaking stuff and finding bugs and sending it to us, and yeah. But the Steam audience, they it kind of stays about the same. If it's like the good, there's much more good feedback than bad feedback, but we take the bad feedback serious.
Did you spend a lot of effort on getting the community into your I'm pretty sure you have a Discord. Okay. Did you spend a lot of time to get the people, convert them into fellow Discord disciples of yours, or what was your or let's rephrase it. What was your approach to social media then? Was it on your side or on Astragon's side?
So most of it is still from when we were doing it. So Astragon didn't go like the Discord thing is an early access thing. So the that's like where we basically came from, to have also have contact to influencers and so on. And yes, so we were always just mentioning that we are having a Discord, and people were joining on different occasions, and it steadily grew a bit. So I think there's just some people who are really fans of the game, and there's people who wanted to complain about something, and some people who were searching for business opportunities. I think it's quite a mixed bag.
Yeah, I can imagine. Talking about success, I mean, right now you have like 350 or something reviews on Steam, and if we stick with the regular formula that is wandering around, where you have like to multiply it with 50 to get to the sales number. Are we close there then to the real sales numbers? Can you give us a rough insight or ballpark figure?
We can't really, like the ones after 1.0 we can't really see, because that's in the Astragon system now.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, like I think it's about 20,000 units.
Yeah.
Thing like this.
And how happy have you been personally? Was that something you were expecting from the beginning, or what was your sales projection that you had at this time?
So I think the early access sales projection was that our marketing guy told us was kind of correct. But we had the people from Dorfromantik breathing down our neck and saying, "Oh, you're gonna sell 500,000," and we're like, "Oh, that's never gonna happen. We're just gonna sell 100,000," and it was 10,000, and we were like, "Oh." And they were like, "Oh, this is not normal, huh?" And we were like, "No, this is normal. This is actually quite good already."
I can imagine that the outlier of Dorfromantik then skews the projections within the beehive in the end.
But we were like, we knew that it wasn't like a super casual cheap game, but was like a more premium special game. So we were still happy with it because we could continue working on it and so on. And it yes, and the that also led to like the Astragon deal and so on. So
yeah, congratulations. I mean, it's still, I mean, that everyone knows the market is tough out there. So coming out with the first title to successfully build it and release it and have people buying it and leave a thumbs up is an achievement on its own already. It's so sad that that it's like 5 minutes to 5 already, that we're slowly running out of time. Because there are so many more questions that I would love to ask you about it. One thing that struck my mind is, like you mentioned, you're a three-person team, and you were working at the same time now on 2 prototypes, because it's 2 test balloons and one of them is not going to see the daylight in the end, or it's just like
or later, or it's or maybe it's decided on whether what gets funding easier or what we know. but like I think the like there's like two, like inside the test balloons there were more test balloons, so they're quite like very like I think both are very would be projects that we could do a production. And I think that all depends on how much money someone would give us to produce it, and how much how long we would want to work on it, how big of a game it is supposed to be, also from a price standpoint. Yes.
3 more questions from my side before you're already writing down some of the answers. That's good.
Yes.
3 more questions from my side. You mentioned that you had spent some time in thinking about the building a cooperative. And I guess there were also ethical reasons, therefore, to build a company that is not like, I don't know, revenue for the shareholders first, but also something which works out for everyone who is part of the company, I could imagine. Does this also translate for you to the art of doing, or to the business of making games? Like, would a free-to-play game, would that be something that you would be thinking about as a business model for your next upcoming title?
I mean, we wouldn't right now because we can't do any online things because that's way too much overhead for a 3-person team. But from an ethical standpoint, I think there is, for a long time I thought like, okay, this whole cosmetics microtransaction stuff, this is never really an ethical thing to do, right? It's always
there are always motivations to do unethical things with it.
Yes, and in the end it will end up like it. You will have a lot of like the game design will suffer because you just make the game in a way that you just want people to play it a lot without having fun, or nagging people to buy stuff, or making people feel bad for not having any cosmetics and so on. But I've seen some really like I didn't really believe in it anymore, but I've seen some examples where I think, okay, this is really more like this actually feels optional to me, right? Like a Hunt Showdown has like €5 expansion packs and so on, and I never feel like it's nagging me to do it. So I wouldn't say on like we won't, but you can do it in a humane and ethical way. Most people just decide not to.
Got it. If any one of you that is still here has a question, now it's the time to write it down, because I'm coming to my 2 last questions now. One of them is like the community of developers in Berlin. How helpful was it for you to sit in the DHive? I don't know, to go to the events, meet other people, have the opportunity like Medianet, Medium Board, meetups, talk and plays, and so on, you name it.
Yes, was that helpful? It's really important to just because there's like, you know, there's some game creator hangout in some bar, and you learn about the newest, I don't know, what is happening with the Bundesförderung from someone who you've seen before 5 years ago at a game jam, and that you remember, and so on. It's like there's like a lot of the information we have about how it works, and who could help us with what is from this scene. And I think it's very cool that talk and play is happening again, and so on. And that's it kind of has recovered from the COVID break.
Totally. I'm also super happy that these whisper networks somehow are still existing where you can simply talk to people. Yeah, time is running out. Last question from my side, and I know Florian is looking at the time already. So maybe just tell me, when it comes to the future, and you take a look in your glass bowl, what's happening in the future, which other things where which other things where you are thinking about, damn, we all need to focus on AI, Unity, blockchain. I don't know. What is it? What is your thing that you are thinking? What is your take of the future about the things that are going to change game development?
I think it's actually like the whole work culture thing that I'm also like.
Okay.
That's so we've seen like a lot of also in Germany some quite bad layoffs, and all over the game industry there's layoffs again. And
You're right.
I think the companies that I think there used to be like a thing like everybody wants to work for a games company, and I don't know, I want to work for Nintendo or whatever because I'm such a gamer. And I think that's like most people who make games nowadays, they are not like this anymore. They wouldn't like give their left liver to work on the next big AAA thing. They just want to have a normal job. And I think the companies that deal with their workers the best, they like they will all others will have big problems, right? I think that's a there's enough people who are very competent, and not enough like the people. Yes, it's hard to get good people, and you won't get good people by treating them bad. And I think the good games will be made at places where people are earning good money and under nice circumstances.
Beautifully said. Like good money in nice circumstances. That's what I wish all of us for the upcoming years, the Christmas time and everything else. Johannes, thanks a lot for your time. It was a real pleasure to have you here. I have the feeling of like we left a lot of loose ends, but I think we also shared a lot of insights about RANDWERK, about your part of it. Shout out then to all the other members of the team. Thanks again for medianet for having us over here, to all the sponsors, and also to Christian and Thomas who stayed here until the bitter end of this conversation. So thanks a lot, everyone, and hopefully we're going to see each other soon as one of the countless industry events that are happening here in Berlin.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So bye-bye, everyone. And I guess sooner or later you will be kicked out by Florian pushing another button. Bye-bye.
Bye.